What is up, everybody? My name is Zach, and welcome back to Case Digital. Today, we're answering the question of how to empty your Python list. So, is clear the best way to do this, or is reassignment the best way to do it? Well, without further ado, let's hop right in and find out. All right, so in my community, I posted a question of how to clear a list or in Python, and I believe the answer that I said was either the clear option or it was the reassignment. I want to say it was the clear option, but maybe mistaken. Anyways, we're going to talk about today because there's a point of when you want to use which one. So now, if I have this list A 1 through 3, what shows 1 through 3. If I go print this, so if I print, and I'll just do an F string, and I'll say B4, and then we'll do A is equal to this, right? So if I go ahead and do this, and then let's just start off with clear. If I say go ahead and A is equal to clear, or excuse me, I just have to do A.clear because it just does in place. And then I say after. If I run this, what you'll see is that, and I can't spell after right, but you'll see that A gets cleared, right? It shows it as an empty list. So what happens though if I go ahead and I say A is equal to a new list? Whoop, I rerun this. Well, A again, same result, right? But here's the caveat. So if I were to go and say B is equal to A, for some reason throughout my code, I wanted to say that, hey, now I want B equal to this A value or this list this time. If I go and say, let's go ahead and print out both A and B. Oops, see, there we go. All right, let's go ahead and print out B, and then we're gonna go ahead and do that exact same thing down here, and we're gonna print out B here. So if we go ahead and we rerun this, what you'll see is if I do just assignment, what happens is that A gets cleared, and it's back to a new, because what I'm doing is I'm reassigning it to a new object, which that object is an empty list. However, if I were to go and do this, and the reference, because B was referencing A, that reference still maintains for B. That's an important note, because if I go here and go clear, what you'll see is if I clear A, both A and B get cleared. So here's why all this is important. So in Python, what's happening here is this is referencing this A object or this list. So if I were to do a function such as clear, what's going to happen is that if I do A.clear, since B references A, this function will apply to the list of B or the variable B. So that's why we end up with B being cleared. So when is the appropriate time to do this? Well, the appropriate time is like if you need all of your references cleared and all that stuff, using this clear option is probably the best bet that you want to use. If you don't want your references to leave, and like you want A to be A or B to stand alone, regardless if you use clear or not, you might want to make a copy and just do a copy of copy. Like you have to import copy and then do something like copy like that, right? But you have to import it, so don't forget that. Or you use difference how you want to basically use, or how basically you want to clear the list, which in our case we would say nope. If I want B to maintain its original reference, I say, hey, A, you're a new object of this empty list, and so then I end up with A is being cleared and B is equal just to the original 1, 2, 3 list. Now what happens though if we say B.clear? What does that do? Let's see. Well, if we do B.cleared again, we won't do anything with A. We'll just leave A by itself, and we'll say B.clear, and we'll rerun this. And B.clear, because they're kind of referencing off that same memory back in the back end, it's going to clear the whole thing, and A is going to get cleared as well. Or you can end up doing, B is equal to this, or an empty list. And if I rerun this, now A is back to its original setting, and B is the cleared object. So this has just been a little example of under the hood, why it's kind of important to know deeper dive into what's happening behind the scenes, because when you have some of these references like this, when you do a function like A.clear or B.clear, it's going to clear the whole reference of that memory in the back end. So what's going to happen is your variables that are assigned to that are going to go to that empty list. However, if you do the reassignment, it's then going to just assign it to a new object, which will kind of redirect or re-reference kind of what that variable is pointing at. And so you end up with B being a blank new object of an empty list, and A being the original thing, or vice versa, depending on which one you're clearing, right? So that is I hope that answers that question. If this is a little bit confusing, please leave a comment in the comments below. Love to answer this question and help you out. But that is kind of how to empty your list in Python, or when it might be appropriate to use which type of method if you're doing. If you're using clear, again, if you don't mind any references getting destroyed or anything like that, clear is the best way to do it if you're doing any other referencing like this. If you don't want to if you don't want your references to be cleared or wiped away, you either need to make, when you make that reference, you either need to take this list object and make a copy of it, so it's its new object and it's assigned to that variable, and this variable isn't referencing another. Or you need to go ahead and say on the clearing part, you need to go ahead and reassign it to a new object and say, hey, you're just now an empty list, and then that'll take care of that. And I guess to show too, so if I do copy if I were to go ahead and say, and this is what I'm talking about. So if I do this copy on the start or the creation of this variable, this basically assigns a new copy of this. And so that when I do B clear right here, it doesn't clear A down there. But if I don't do that and I just say B is equal to A, then what's going to happen is on that clearing, what happens here, both of those are going to be cleared because in the backend memory, it's getting cleared. So I hope that answers your question. If you do have any other questions or you have any questions about this or any other just questions in general, please leave them in the comments below. And until next time, keep on programming.